okay, there's a date to remember, and I want to make sure everyone knows that the Landowner Transparency Registration is coming up the end of November. So information for pre-existing owners. You wonder, what is this Landowner Transparency Registration? And I didn't know about it. Well, it's really for corporations. So the requirements to file documents to the Landowner Transparency Registry, which is the LOTR, so a transparency report, must be completed and filed electronically in the MyLTSA by a legal professional. So some people who are existing registered owners of land as of November 30th, 2020, because I mentioned this on the radio show last year that it was coming up, it was starting to take place November 30th last year. Now, you're required to file a transparency report since then, but the transparency report must be filed by a legal professional. You know how they always give you a bit of a time, but November 30th this year is you must, or maybe you'll get in trouble. I don't know. It's the government. So which pre-existing owners must file a transparency report? Well, the only registered owners of land as of November 30th of last year who are required to file a transparency report are those who are a reporting body. So if you are not a reporting body, then you do not need to file a transparency report. Who is a reporting body? Well, the Landowner Transparency Act sets out who is that reporting body. So it's a person that will be a reporting body only if for pre-existing registered interest in land is one of the following. Okay, so it's either you own a corporation, you're owned by a partnership, or it's being held in trust. So the LOTA includes detailed legal definitions for corporations, partnerships, and trusts for the purpose of the requirement to file a transparency report. Most, but not all corporations, partners, and trusts are included. If you are not sure whether one of these applies to your circumstances, you really should contact a legal professional for advice. Don't take any chances. I have a personal real estate corporation and I have a holding company. And so, anything that you have in land, you really need a report. So contact your legal professional if you have any of the above type of thing. And, if you don't have a legal representative, Ishpreet Rai is out of RDM Lawyers, and he's a fantastic real estate and corporate lawyer, and he can help you. He's out of Abbotsford, again, through RDM Lawyers, and his name is Ishpreet Rai. Make sure you tell him that you heard about him on our real estate show. So I also, Curtis and we want to start something called What's Trending. So we're going to start a What's Trending on our show. And this first What's Trending, we wanted to mention the neatest, coolest addition to downtown Chilliwack's Five Corners. If you have not been there, it is really hip. It's really cool, and it's really now. It's called the 1881 District, and it's got the coolest coffee shops, like the Smoking Gun, my favorite coffee ever. Brandon and Brittany own it, and she did the decorating, and it is just you can see how they roast the coffee right there when you're waiting, like when you're getting your coffee. It's really neat. They have the Bow and Stern there, which is a great restaurant, really delicious, like mussels and oysters and food, and the Fieldhouse Brewing. Who doesn't love that? So it's a really cool area. So check it out. There is nothing for sale there, but there are rental units that they have above, and it's just a really great area. Check it out. But
they've really done an amazing job of revitalizing that area in the last few years, and they've really made it kind of cool and hip.
Oh, totally. And and I'm just so happy and proud because I love downtown. There's something about downtowns to me that, like Gastown and even downtown Mission I like, and downtown Abbotsford is I love it. That's why I bought my condo off the Montrose. And the downtown Chilliwack now is I instantly was like, I need to know if there's a for sale. I want to buy a condo here. I want to buy something downtown Chilliwack now, when I never ever would have thought I would ever want to buy something in downtown Chilliwack. But it's really changing. It's really great. And there's some older, I love the structures down there because it's got some really neat architecture, buildings down there as well, but love that new area.
No, absolutely. It's a very cool area for sure.
I know we only have a couple more minutes before we go on break, and I wanted to talk about moving costs that may surprise you when you get your final bill. And then when we come back from break, we're going to talk about the ABCs of buying a second home. So, moving costs. Now, I've got clients moving up to St. John right now, and you know what? You really got to think of all the moving costs, and don't just rely on a quick quote. So, packing up and moving, it is arduous enough, but making matters worse for many of us Canadians is that there are many additional charges that you're often unaware of. So, according to a survey by Big Steel Box, it's the moving and storage company, if you hadn't heard of them, 19% of respondents didn't realize that they would be charged by weight, of which 36% were not aware of how they would be charged before booking. 30% of respondents paid more money for their move than they were initially quoted. Some companies make you pay 100% upfront before they even come to your door. So be prepared for that. The average cost of moves climbed for a couple of reasons. Destination cities, which are rural, non-urban areas, increases the cost. And Big Box's director of operations, Brian Hawkins, said people have been leaving Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary because the pandemic taught us we can do our jobs from anywhere. So they would cash in on the housing market, of course, in bigger centers and move somewhere smaller. And we have definitely seen that with I call it the exodus from the west heading to the east. So whenever you take trucks off a key line, he says, trucks typically go where the population is. They have to get to you and back. So if there's an opportunity for them to provide a fixed price, that will set consumers up for a win. A lot of companies charge extra fees, including a storage fee if the truck has to wait a couple of days, even a fuel charge. And you were mentioning, Curtis, when you moved, that's kind of what you had to do, hey?
Yeah, we had to, when we moved from Prince George back to the lower mainland here, we had to put all of our stuff in storage for like a month. We thought maybe even longer, but we found a place pretty quick. But we still had to pay to store all of our stuff pretty much for a month.
Oh, my gosh. That's a whole month. That's a long time. And that was a while ago, and prices have skyrocketed since then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, to give you a ballpark figure, it cost us over $6,000 to move here 15 years ago from Prince George. So in the province, it cost us $6,000, and that was 15 years ago.
And a lot of times, like, when you were thinking of moving, did you think it would cost that much until you actually sold and bought or planned the move, and then you called? It's usually one of those things you do last, after you sell, after you purchase. Then it's like, okay, let's call a moving company. But you really have to prepare your finances for it, especially if you're moving far away or at least not in the same town.
Yeah, and there's not much that's actually cheaper than what you think it's going to be. Most of it costs more.
Exactly. Oh. But so that is pretty much it. I just wanted to. He had mentioned a few other things about just be aware that costs are moving up all the time. Gas prices are moving up all the time. So definitely, if you're thinking about moving out of town, maybe one of the first when you're preparing your finances is to call the moving company to get some quotes and ask a lot of questions like, do you charge by weight? Do you charge by days or whatever you have to ask?
Nope, sounds good. I think that's good sound advice.
We try to give sound advice here on the Cummins Group Real Estate Show.
That's right. Now, if people want more information about what you do as a realtor and as a real estate expert, where can they go?
MicheleCummins.ca.
We're back with more right after this.